This follows the development of Tropical Cyclone Narelle, which is now tracking north of Cowan, with the greatest impact expected in the northern parts of the Shire. So we just finished on the QDMC meeting and we expected to hit the coast as a Cat 5 cyclone and then downgrade from there. So this means that the conditions are constantly changing and people in the affected areas need to take action now to protect themselves and their families. For residents in Cowan and the surrounding communities, this system is expected to have the greatest impact in your area. We are asking you to store water now, including filling bathtubs and containers, and please be aware that water supply will be turned off for approximately 1 hour during the impact to protect our infrastructure and maintain the water quality. And I can't reiterate enough that you need to fill your containers and bathtubs now and not wait until the last minute. More specific timing will be provided later today. However, I would suggest that we don't wait for the later warning, that we get prepared now. Clear your yards of loose items that could become dangerous in strong winds, and make sure your emergency kits, food, medications and supplies are ready. The safest option for most people is to shelter in place or somewhere secure. So when I say shelter in place, it's better if you can shelter at your home or a friend's place. And it's really important that you know where you're going to be this evening and make those plans early so you can be really comfortable by the time that the impact happens. If you can stay with family, that would be ideal. If you do not have somewhere safe to go, we're asking you to contact Council's disaster management team as soon as possible. So you can contact them all day today on 4082 0500. Or alternately, you can email the DMO at cook.qld.gov.au. And I can't stress enough that please reach out to us if you have any questions. We will work with you to ensure that you have the appropriate support. Council is working closely with emergency services, partner agencies and local community groups to support our communities. So our communities include all communities across Cook Shire, including Port Stewart, Portland Roads, Cowan, Laura, Lakeland, Cooktown, Rossville, Ayton and the Bloomfield area. So please be rest assured that our focus is on the northern part of the Shire. We have already taken steps to relocate vulnerable residents from high-risk areas, and we will continue to prioritise community safety as conditions develop. While the strongest impacts are expected in the north, we remind the communities to remain on alert and be vigilant with the areas around you and keep in contact with your family and friends. This system may bring heavy rainfall, strong winds and potential flooding to the region again, and this will mean that roads will be cut off at some point around the Shire. So I would strongly encourage anyone to avoid any unnecessary travel during this period. We also encourage everyone to check in on family and friends, neighbours, particularly the elderly and those who may need extra support, because we need to do that now and not wait until this afternoon. So the looking out for each other is really important in keeping our community safe, and I cannot stress that enough. Our communities are strong, connected, experienced in managing wet season events, so this is nothing new. The intensity is just escalated. It's really important that everyone stays informed and take all necessary steps and look out for one another. And the final reminder is preparedness is about being ready, not being worried. I can understand that people will start to be worried at this point in time, but I can't reiterate enough. Pick up the phone and call us if you have any questions. So before we do any questions or anything, I might hand over to Inspector Gary Hunter for some comments from behalf of the Queensland Police Service.
I really want to impart some safety messaging around this weather event that's happening. So the QPS deployed 49 staff to areas within the region, including Cooktown, Lockhart River, Cullen, Woodger and Laura. We'll continue to assess our resourcing as the weather event passes. And we have had opportunities to evacuate people from the likes of locations such as Port Stewart, the Douglas Shire and Town where required. It's really important that people stay vigilant, keep up to date, and I encourage people to also talk to their neighbours as well and ensure that they are prepared. And preparedness is probably the most important message that we can convey to our communities. We also encourage people to revisit their emergency plans ensure they're up to date with food and water. While the severity of the cyclone is a concern, we have no concerns from a state, district and local level about being prepared and our planning efforts. As always in these events, as conditions worsen, motorists in flood-affected areas are urged not to go out driving, avoid messy travel where they can. The major focus here is about driving through floodwaters, and the messaging that we convey is that if it's flooded, forget it. So we really want to impart that messaging. If you don't need to travel, please don't. Other than that, we will be in a good place to respond to any calls for service locally and also in those affected areas. Thank you.
Can I just ask you one question about the evacuations? So the last that we heard was Port Stewart and Lizard Island, and you mentioned a couple of other locations. So can you just elaborate how many people have evacuated and what have their circumstances been?
Yeah, so we have evacuated people from the likes of Port Stewart and also Lizard Island. There are still people remaining on the island, and we have a research centre on there. They are comfortable with their preparedness for this event. We also have evacuated people that are living on vessels within the Cooktown Harbour as well. So, and we have a water police patrol this morning that are informing people about the event and getting them to relocate to a safer location. So we've had a great response from the boating community in that respect.
We've seen places like Woodrow, Jasper was hit so hard so fast. Have many people left places like that, or are they mostly?
The majority of people are staying, but they are well prepared. We have resources in place to ensure that if we need to evacuate, that can happen.
Everybody else?
Yes, if we need to helicopter people out, that will definitely occur.
What about like dialysis patients and whatnot? Have they been removed from the region?
Yes, our health colleagues have already put plans in place. Those people that need assistant attention, they've already been evacuated. Ladies who are pregnant have also been taken care of as well.
Cohen seems to be the place where we're going to see the most impact here. Can you describe the town to us? Because most people in South East Queensland have probably never heard of Cohen. What's their how's it built for this?
So Cohen's a small regional community, and it sits within, I guess, Cookshire is about 106,000 square kilometres, just under. So Cohen is the northernmost community, inland community in our shire. It sits on a ridge type area, so the community itself is a little bit higher, population of about 400. So, and the community are relatively tight knit, and generally everyone in small communities knows each other. So that's where the importance in know your neighbour, support your friends and your family, and that sort of thing kicks in. The community are fairly resilient, but the last time that we had a cyclone of this similar impact was about 1990.
How did it fare then?
That was well before my time, but I think there was some destruction. Yeah, so just the normal things like trees down, a little bit of infrastructure damage, but not...
Building-wise, it's quite resilient there.
Well, as I said, it's been about 26 years since the last one, so I would hope most of the buildings up there, the more recent ones since then, are cyclone rated, so they should be reasonably resilient.
What kind of places of refuge, if any, are there?
So we have places of, we have actually resilience hubs in most of our communities, all our communities with the exception of Cohen. So we will identify later today some safe places where people can go, and we will announce them to the community, but we just need to finalise some communications around that.
How are the Cookshires fuel stocks going? Is there enough fuel to fuel generators and whatnot?
Yeah, there's plenty of fuel in Cooktown at the moment. I think the issue with fuel actually is getting it up north because of the prolonged road closures have impacted that a little bit. Cooktown's fine. The service stations are, have cut-off points where it's emergency services only, but I can't see that as being a big issue for the Cooktown area at this stage. The only other comment that I'd like to make is I think that we have had an incredible amount of support from the Premier of Queensland, and also I think it's the staff of our organisation that have been on the ground and helping people and supporting people through these preparations. And the other thing to mention is the agencies that are in town. It's like the police that have come on board to to provide that support where we need it, and it's been a really good preparation period. We have SES, additional SES, Swiftwater Rescue in town as well. We're communicating with all the government agencies, so I think at this stage we're as prepared as what we can be.
And that messaging that you said earlier about shelter in place tonight, is that just for Common and surrounding communities, or is that for even Cooktown as well?
That is for Cookshire residents.
Everyone.
That's for everyone, because we do perceive that we will have heavy rainfall, strong winds and flooding in the Cooktown and Rossville, Ayton areas, and even further south, west to Laura and Lakeland. So we do encourage everyone to shelter.
When Townsville flooded last year, one of the big things was a lot of people hadn't been in the north for an event like that since COVID. There'd been a huge amount of people moving. Has that happened here? Is that a concern? A lot of new people?
There's always new people that come into the area here, but I think the importance of that is connecting with your neighbours, connecting with your local authorities and emergency services. And if you have that connection, we're there to support you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you guys have a, I don't know, do you want to call